management offices, and we
Oh, shit. Okay.
How are you? Okay, I'll see you. Good. Good. I'll see you in a while, Joy.
Welcome, everyone. We're at 1 o'clock. We'll give another minute just because a lot of folks are likely coming in right at 1. All right, we'll get started. It's 1:01. There may be some more folks trickling in, so appreciate. We'll likely mute folks as they come in just in case they're off mute. So if you find yourself automatically muted, that's why. So we'll kick off our CCBHC RFS pre-proposal conference number 2. This is less of a presentation and more of a review. So we have a plan to review some of the questions that came up 2 days ago with the group, and also open up for questions at the end. So next slide, Mariah. So just as a reminder, respondents are reminded that no answers or information issued verbally at these pre-proposal conferences are binding on the state unless later issued in writing. And so please do not forget to submit those questions in writing. And we do plan to have 2 releases of answers of questions as a part of this RFS period. All questions must be submitted via email to that email address listed there, tdeaton@idoa.in.gov. No later than October 30th, 2023 by 3 p.m. using attachment H, questions and answers template. The subject line of the email submissions must clearly state the following. So you can see that listed there. Okay, I'm going to hand it over to Matt to review attachment E. A lot of questions came up a couple of days ago. We thought it might be good to just walk through that with some clarifications on formatting.
Great. Mariah, if you could unscreen share, and I'll screen share, and T. Deaton, Teresa, who was on the last conference, sends her regrets. She's feeling a little under the weather, but she will be posting the recording of this a little bit later on. You know, as Lindsay noted, a lot of the questions related to attachment E, which is where we ask respondents to talk about their ability to meet currently or prospectively the certification criteria that are in the RFS. And it occurred to us afterwards that we were describing how to fill out a form without screen sharing the form, and thought it might be worthwhile to give some of the same information today, but while you look at the form. So here's the form. Here's the form that we were talking about. And there are 4 columns. It's broken into sections. And the first column is the criteria number. And the second column is the criteria. And then we ask people to answer questions about the criteria, but they're pretty straightforward questions. Do you currently meet it? So you could say yes, in which case there's nothing to put in here. But if you don't meet it, you would say no. And then if not, will you be able to meet this criteria by 7/1/24? And that's a question we'd like you to say yes, because we would need our sites who are part of the demonstration to be able to meet these criteria by the start of the demonstration. Let's say you got multiple sites though, right? And the answer is not the same for all those sites. Well, these aren't drop-down menus. You can fill it out. Say you have sites A, B, C, and D. You could say yes for C and D. And you're going to say yes for B, no for A. That's fine. You can figure out what you want the system, how you want to clarify on each of these lines. Who's gonna what elements of your organization can meet it by the deadline? What elements can't? You know, I want to reiterate something we said. Like, this is not a punch card being fed into a machine. It's a human being who's going to open it up and look at it and you know, read it. After each big section of criteria, right? So there's section 2 here. There is a yellow box where we want you to explain the answers that you've provided above. So you would either say, if you are meeting it, how are you doing it? If you're not meeting it, but you're going to meet it by the start of the demonstration, we want to know how you're going to do that. And if you're exceeding it, we want to know that. So let's just use a hypothetical here. We had criteria 2A1. You would say something like, yes, we are meeting. Yes, we are meeting it. We are doing X, Y, Z or something. And then you want to talk about 2A2. You say, well, not yet. You know, in order to meet by July 1, 2024, we need to A, B, C. So you can provide a criterion by criterion explanation. If you were exceeding it, we'd want to know that too. If you have multiple sites and like in the hypothetical we gave above, then feel free to explain that. Yes, we are meeting at B and D. And then you would give a, you know, yes, we're meeting it at B and D. We plan to have C by July 1, 2024 by doing ABC, right? So it's the point is, you can kind of answer what you have for each criterion based on the the unique circumstances surrounding your organization and your preparedness or your readiness for the CCBHC model. What you don't need to do is say like, okay, criterion A1, question 1. Do you currently meet the criterion? Yes, because A, B, C, D. And then question 2. If you are not currently able to meet the criterion, well, that you can't. You are able to meet it. So you could write NA if you want to, but you don't have to like address all 3 of these questions for all 3 criterion. You just need to address the substance of the questions. You can, I suppose, answer 1 and 3 affirmatively, but the point is we're not going to kind of tick down here. We just want to see a substantive description for each criterion. So that was a lot, but this was one of the more tricky attachments. Does anyone have any questions specifically about how to complete attachment E?
This is Martha Henn. I have my hand up for one. And that is that there was some discussion in the Tuesday pre-proposal meeting, and some people were stating that they anticipated that their responses in attachment E would be extremely copious. And we because we already have a CCBHC grant for our 2 sites, we had to submit about 3 weeks ago for that grant an attestation form, not the same as the attestation form for this grant, but that really informs the content of attachment E here. And we're finding we're able to answer all of these in basically a brief paragraph. Not something that would go on copiously. So is that acceptable?
You mean answer the what you would put in the yellow box only
Yeah,
takes you a
correct.
paragraph?
Correct.
I don't know that we can weigh in on. If it's all right with folks, I'm gonna unscreen share as well because I can't see anything. I don't know that we can necessarily talk about what is and isn't a good response in here. I think that you can look at the form and you could, if we were only interested in like thumbs up, thumbs down.
My cousin's daughter played volleyball at Allison will play, and I have made.
Hey, thank you. The thumbs up, thumbs down, or thumbs sideways, if you will, on each criteria is captured in a table there. But we are looking for a narrative that explains what you're doing. Where it's up to you, I guess, how much you want to put in there. I can say that it's your opportunity to inspire our confidence in what you're doing.
Mhm.
I don't know, Lindsay, do you have anything you want to add on that? And at least I see you got your hand up as well. We'll get to you in a second.
Yeah, I think Matt, you captured it well. I mean, I think the intent and spirit of that is to explain kind of how your particular agency and sites are meeting that criteria. And so that needs to be pretty reflective and can't speak to if how that would overlap with what you've already submitted as a part of the CCBHC grant process.
Mhm.
And Lisa, your hand is up as well.
My question, so we actually added a maybe plus, maybe minus for our working draft. Some of our things, what we currently meet the attestation criteria, but this is the second iteration of DMHA's attestation criteria. It's changed since the RFI even. And so we're like, okay, yeah, we're meeting everything, but these items that have suddenly appeared, we'll have to operationalize that. It probably won't be that much. Is that a no? We're doing everything except what we just saw when we opened this document.
Sure. Well, I think so. If the answer is, are you doing it right now and you're not, the answer is no. But that's why there's another column that says, can you get there by July? And what do you need to get there by July, right?
Okay, that works. Yeah, because we was like, really, we're doing everything that we meet criteria for SAMHSA without any problem. But this is not just the first restatement of the attestation criteria by the state, but the second. And so we're just like we have a crosswalk that we put together, which is not pretty. And, but that's where we're at. So I appreciate the clarification. Thank you.
Sure. And that the reason that this is a second iteration and not a first is that we read what everyone submitted to the RFI, and that was weighed and to a degree incorporated in in what you see here. So that thus was the purpose of the iterative exercise. Okay, so I think we can open it for questions of any nature now. Again, we may encourage you to submit it in writing because we want a measured response and one that reflects it. If you could either raise your hand or put it in the chat. We're going to go through the people who've raised their hand first, and then we'll, time permitting, go through the chat. I will note that there are 2 more of these next week as well. So if we run out on the clock, submit your question in writing as well, and we can talk about it next week. Art, you are first in the queue if you have a question.
Yes, so this is Art Fuller from Hamilton Center. And we will submit these questions in writing. So the first question is related to site in the word site. We would like clarification in regards to, is site to be interpreted as a geographic county area, like Vigo County, or is it an actual physical address of a building?
Lindsay, you gonna?
Yeah, I can take that one. So when the site is it's this both. So when you're describing both the physical address and also the service area that you intend to serve by that physical address. And as it states in there, and we talked about this on Tuesday as well, is be as descriptive as you can. We may reach out post RFS submission for clarification if we have questions. Again, back to Matt's point, like there are humans reading this. We know that this is something that that all of us are trying to get right. So it's both the physical address and then also your service area description should be inclusive in both of those. Did that answer the question, Art?
Partially. So then my follow-up would be, if it is both, does each site then need to provide all of the 9 required services?
Yes. Or you need to describe how each site is going to plan to meet those. If you're including that site in the CCBHC application as a part of the demonstration. So that's up to every agency on what sites the agency would like to include as a part of the demonstration application.
Okay.
So sorry, Eric, I know you had more than one question.
Yep. So this next one is related to SGL sites, potentially. It specifically, can PPS eligible encounters be provided at locations within the organization that have not been identified as a CCBHC site?
I think that one might be arcane enough, or rather specific enough, that we need to get that one in writing. And sorry to punt on that.
And then just one more broader one, and then the other ones I think are very technical. So, this is specifically related to the financial section. So this is section 4, 2.4.1. And specifically, it says in the application, it says, please confirm that you have reviewed the PPS1 rate and understand how your organization will be paid as a CCBHC. So what we're seeking clarification on that is how, like right now, we don't know what our PPS rate is. Like, how are we supposed, this is asking us to confirm that we have reviewed the PPS1 rate and understand how your organization will be paid. So that's the big kind of overarching question that we have.
Yeah, I can take this one. Ari is also on if there's additional questions. I would say for this, it's the ability to do what is required as an agency to develop the PPS one.
Yeah.
And so And I don't know, Matt, if you have, or
Yeah,
Ari, have
so
anything to
so
speak
one
on
of the, what we've got here is that certification requirement no one can meet yet because you don't have a PPS rate. But what you would do is say I can meet that by 2024 because by then you will have been part of the calculation of the PPS rate. And how will you get there? Which is one of the things you have to answer. You will work with us to provide the information necessary for our agent to calculate PPS rates and then the subsequent iteration to fine tune it. And so it's that what we're looking for there is like your commitment to be part of the process.
Okay. Those are the main questions we had. Those are the big buckets. Thank you.
Excellent. And I put in the chat too, thank you for Art for submitting those formally, because we'll want to make sure we get those answered officially. And the one that we did not have an answer for.
Yep.
I think Dawn is next.
Yeah, so this one, I'm Dawn Pruitt from Cummins Behavioral Health, and I think this was asked last time. I just wanted to follow up. It's regarding the community needs assessment. So we had to submit that for a current CCBHC federal grant that we have that was completed previously. So can that be used? Our feeling was just that we could not do a thorough needs assessment and have that in by November with really all the components that we had in our initial one.
Yes, that can be used, and please submit that question, I think is what we also indicated on Tuesday for that to be officially submitted and answered.
Okay, and this to that is for our original one that we did, we had that specific to one county. If we look to add other locations or other service areas that we're applying for, what would be the advisement for that community needs assessment? Because our original was only for one county, but we may be applying for more than one.
The community needs assessment needs to be reflective of all service of the entire service area you're applying for CCBHC. So again, I would add that into your question and we can officially answer that. However, the community needs assessment is the driver for many other aspects of the CCBHC certification criteria. So all of the service area would need a needs assessment.
Okay, so that would look like Matthew was sharing with the yes, no. Yes, it's for one county, but no, not yet. We could do it by July for the second location.
Yes, yeah, you can kind of explain that in the narrative to help explain your particular situation. However, again, like if you do submit that question, we can parse that out even further with our team to make sure we answer it as accurately as possible.
Yep.
Connie.
Yes, thank you. I have two questions. So the first one relates back to the question that Art asked a little bit earlier. It was my understanding when working on a different application, I think it was a federal application, when we looked at sites that needed to have the services, we looked at the major hub county having all of the services and then the smaller outlying counties not having all the services, but have access to those services. So be that mobile team not located there, be that crisis, they can get their crisis services. I'm trying to think of what else would be out there. That would definitely be one, or the crisis stabilization that will be located in Allen County. And so other counties will be coming to us. Is that acceptable?
Yeah, I think just describing how each site within each service area has access to all 9 core services. I think your point about that they have access to, that's the critical component, and to explain that within your narrative sections, specifically related to the certification criteria for those that maybe are accessible in another county.
Okay, great. And then my other question would be around, we have many community needs assessments around our region based on the fact that we're part of a larger health system as Parkview. So every hospital that every county that we have a hospital in, we have a community needs assessment. We have a specific community needs assessment in Allen for behavioral health and the hospital. So I guess my question to you is, when we're saying which counties we're going to serve, we have 3 that are a catchment, that are ours that are a catchment. But if we have services in other counties, that we serve, should we apply for those as well to be CCBHC, or should we just apply for our 3 catchment areas to have that CCB designation?
That would be up to the agency. I don't think we would have, you know, the requirements would need to be for the whole service area. And so that's really what we're looking for in the application, is what agencies feel like, what sites and what service areas that they would like to apply to be a part of the demonstration program. That is really up to that agency and their capacity.
Okay, all right, thank you very much.
Let's see, in the questions in the chat. Oh, well, sorry, we got one more live question, then we'll go to the chat questions. Mai?
I was wondering, I read in the in the materials that we would have to get our community needs assessment done by November. Is that correct?
Yes.
With all the required components?
Yes.
Okay. I just kind of misheard the initial question. I think someone asked a question about it two questions ago or whatnot. And I just wondering if you can clarify what the question was, or any answer.
Was it the question about only having a needs assessment for one county and then potentially needing to develop the needs assessments for others?
Yeah.
So I think the critical aspect related to the needs assessment, and would also ask that you submit this formally, because I do think this is a question that's coming up a lot, and we want to make sure we answer all of the questions related to the community needs assessment, is that the community needs assessment, as you read through the certification criteria, really is critical to being able to demonstrate the capacity to meet the needs of the community. And so when we're looking at service area and scope of services and service sites, that has to be, I mean, that's a core component of describing how your agency plans to meet those needs. And as far as like how you gather that information, that's like really up to you. I think many people said, you know, we've got hospital, you know, the hospital does a community needs assessment. We've done this for FQHC, or we've done this for other grants. All of those are great, and can be used to meet that need. However, we need to have as a part of the certification criteria itself, there has to be reflection of how your agency plans to meet the needs of your community. The only way to know that is if we know that you know the needs of your community.
Okay. So does that mean if we have a community needs assessment that was done for an FQHC, we can submit that?
You can definitely use that. I think there's not complete alignment, so just want to make sure that you have everything that's required for the CCBHC needs assessment.
Okay. Thank you.
Martha, your hand is up.
Yeah, my sound is on. Okay. So we're really having difficulty with the access to the IDOA procurement site, because it's not open to the general public. You have to be registered, and we already have, through our foundation, a registered person, and her access isn't currently working. She's not able to locate a working password. So I really feel at a deficit, because I can't get any of the recordings. I can't get published answers. I can't get a revised RFS. You all were saying you might revise the RFS to reflect that we would have 2 question and answer sessions. You know, how do we handle, and I can't be the only organization that's having access challenges with the IDOA website.
Matthew, I'm on.
Oh, hey, Teresa.
Hey, you have to submit a ticket if you're having password problems. If you submit a ticket, they will respond within 24 hours with that reset for you. You know, our information technology group does the standard and the security issues for our website. So it's, I mean, I can't change that at all for you. You would just have to have your person log on and then download everything and share it with the team or the group. Have you submitted a ticket surrounding your password issue?
Well, I'm not the person who is our registered bidder. That's somebody else in the foundation. I mean, it's certainly an imposition that I'm the person with all the pre-award responsibility, and I'm going to have to put her in the position of continually checking the website to get me new things, because I don't think you want me to also register, right? Because if I register, it
You
replaces.
won't be able to, because it'll be the same federal ID number. So you won't be able to. Yeah, I mean, I don't know how your company is set up. I don't know if they can change it to you. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I can't change the way our system works. So
It just seems like it's not, we're talking about transparency and availability. Like, all of our stuff will be available publicly, transparently, but we can't get at the materials for this grant except through one gatekeeper. It just seems like for the non-submittable materials, that they could also be mirrored on a DMHA site or something like that, because I think it's a real impediment to access. And I can't imagine for other we're a multi-county, multi-site organization with 16,000 employees, and I can't imagine that there aren't other applicants here that would also have a challenge in this regard. But that aside, you all can consider whether you can mirror the non-submission documents on another site to make this truly open access. But how do we submit a ticket, Teresa? Is there a?
It's on the same site as if you were trying to log in. It's on the same site. It says submit a ticket.
Okay. All right. I will ask the other person who is our registered bidder to submit a ticket.
And if you have any trouble, I mean, if you're running into, lots of trouble and stuff, shoot me an email and I'll try to get stuff to you.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, thank you. We do have one or two written questions. I guess this is two questions. The first of the written questions is on attachment C, section 2.3.8, number 1. Do the revenues from previous year and 2 years prior questions refer to gross or net revenues? And what type of revenue should be included in those numbers, e.g., only patient revenue, including grants, etc.? Please submit that one in writing. I don't think we can answer that one on the fly, but we will get an answer to that one in the first batch of answers that we're going to post. And the second question is, for the revenues question, if the applying organization is part of a larger organization, should the revenues just be for the applying organization or for the whole larger organization? Please also submit that one in writing. I think the attachment may speak to that, but if you could send that one in writing as well. Not that I'm trying to punt, but I don't want to speak out of school on the very arcane financial stuff. So I am sorry, Morgan, to punt on both of those questions, but we want to get you exactly the right answer.
Thank you.
We said the question, can you provide the direct link to the slide deck from the last meeting, please? So it's among, and we may be encountering the same problem that Martha was identifying. It's posted among the RFS documents. There's not a direct link in because you gotta log in as a bidder and pull the stuff down. We'll talk to IDOA and DMHA. We'll have a conversation about if there's anything that can be done, but I don't know that there is. I don't want to make any promises that a direct link to these materials is available. So I'm sorry about that.
Thank you.
And then one question is, we are requesting clarification on whether the metric for number of naloxone dispensations during mobile crisis is referring to dispensations or administrations. golly, please put that one in writing. I don't lie. I mean, Lindsay, do you have a take on that out of the gate?
No, I'm gonna need to circle back to some folks to get the answer to that one. So thank you for submitting it.
Fair, yeah, fair and specific question. We are unfortunately at time, but I don't see any hands raised. I don't see any additional questions in the chat, so it looks like we've landed this for the moment. On the slide here, you see that questions are due tomorrow afternoon or earlier. Sure would be swell if you got them in today, if you've already got them, so we could get working on it and post the answers in time. Please send them via email to Teresa. Please use that subject line, because Teresa, as you would imagine, is on a bunch of these things and the poor woman gets buried in emails all the time. So if you can help her out by flagging in the Ray line, that's a question for this RFS, we sure would appreciate it. It would get to us faster. We would get the thing answered faster. Otherwise, we'll see you, I think, next week. We got another one of these little parties. And there's 2 more of them. And thank you, everyone, for coming. And we look forward to your first set of written questions.
Thank you.
Everyone. Take
Thank
care.
you.
Thanks, everyone, and for the great questions.